All right, this week on the podcast, I'm joined by Nate Nappi of Uprise Partners. Uprise Partners is a cybersecurity firm based out of Maine. Nate's in sales for them. They specialize in helping provide IT managed solutions for small to medium sized businesses. Nate's a great resource in this world of online scams and phishing and hacking and computer viruses. They provide great service for their customers. I had a great time talking to him about what it exactly is that they do. So, this is the Randy Forcer podcast. As always, if you can subscribe on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify, I'd appreciate that. Only takes a second. Thanks so much for always listening. Always appreciate that support. So, thanks again. And here's Nate. All right, I'm here with my man Nate Nappi from Uprise Partners. Nate, thanks for joining me on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Randy. Excited to be here. Happy to be on the pod.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit offline before. It's kind of a timely conversation because my Facebook account just got hacked. You're in the world of cybersecurity. I feel like I've been watching movies about cybersecurity stuff. Obviously, a big topic in the world for everybody nowadays. How have things been going in business?
Things have been going really well. Business-wise, first off, sorry to hear about the recent events with your Facebook account. It's the amount of times I've heard that story. It's super unfortunate. It happens to so many people, but that's the world we're living in 2023 with
Yep.
the cyber criminals that are out there.
It's very frustrating.
Very much so. Are you familiar with like the origins of cyber criminals and how that started in
No,
general?
tell me about it.
It's interesting. So when these big companies like Microsoft, Apple were first getting going, they had bugs in their systems, right? They had bugs in their software, the products that they were putting out there. Uh, a lot of these technologists would bring these bugs to these companies' attention, right? So they'd reach out to Microsoft and say, "Hey, we just recognized this giant bug or vulnerability in your system. Just wanted to make you aware of it." And these big companies, instead of being open and receptive and encouraging that to continue so that they can shore things up on their side,
Mm-hmm.
they responded with putting them in the penalty box and being very aggressive in those responses to disincentivize them from bringing anything like that to their attention in the
Wow.
future. So think about if Apple paid somebody that's doing this stuff all day, every day, for every bug that they bring to their attention so that they can make things better on their
Mm-hmm.
end versus having that be extorted and then turn into a potential ransomware situation when they're selling it online as a zero-day threat on a black market, right? So that's kind of like, it's interesting. We had a chance for it to not be like
Yeah,
this potentially, but it's the way it's
it,
been.
it's so frustrating to hear because if you think they were just a little bit more forward thinking,
Yeah.
that they would see that it would have been an issue beyond that. They're kind of created this issue that we're dealing with right now. So super frustrating. I mean, I bet you back then when that first started, I don't know how much the internet was involved, but it seems like there's constantly patches for things like Windows or our iOS on our phones or just different software we have is constantly being updated because these vulnerabilities and bugs are being identified. I wonder what it was like early in the day when they couldn't do that quite as fast as they can now.
It's a great point though, with a lot of the patches that are rolled out, like I feel like weekly we see a Microsoft update that's update all or update now. It
Yeah.
comes on your screen. When you do that, if it's not tested properly with a small user subset, like if we're not strategically rolling out patches to our client bases,
Mm-hmm.
things break. I'm sure that's happened for you, that
Yeah.
things that are integrated with Microsoft, whatever the software is, when you update, things tend to break. So yeah,
And then that
it's
needs
got
to
to
be
be
fixed. And
strategic.
it's a rabbit hole, and it kind of keeps going. You got to chase it a little bit to fix it. But I mean, I'm glad that there are other people dealing with that stuff. I'm glad there's companies like yours that are doing what you guys do as well. Just because you have people like me, we're so caught up in our day to day life, our business. It's like I'm not an expert in fixing this Facebook issue that I'm dealing with, or never mind if a hacker grabbed all the data in my company and held it for ransom against me. Like it's good that you guys are doing that sort of stuff and providing services for people in small business. So why don't we talk a little bit about Uprise Partners? Tell me a little bit about Uprise.
Yeah, happy to, Randy. So to set the stage, small businesses are really struggling with their IT and security, right? So I mean, small businesses are relying more on tech than ever before. You
Mm-hmm.
throw in things like COVID, hybrid work, there's just a lot to manage there. Most small business owners, I mean, they're focused on their core business, what they do best, money coming in, money going out, right? How do
Mm-hmm.
we make this profitable? How do we grow? So at Uprise, we take care of the IT and security for our small and medium-sized business clients so they can focus on what they do best. We really just make it work like a Swiss watch. So it's easy, it's just working.
Mhm.
And what we're aiming to do is optimize the technology in their environment so they're getting the most out of what they need to do day to day.
Yeah.
So because of that, we have been named a top 100 cybersecurity firm in North America for the last 3 years and a top 500 IT managed services provider. So we've been
That,
successful, but
yeah.
a lot of small businesses are struggling out there for sure.
So you can basically be the IT department for these companies that don't have the resources necessarily to have one in-house.
To really distill it down, yeah, we
Mhm.
we are the IT and security department for our clients. Sometimes that means collaborating in like a co-managed model with an internal IT team. So it doesn't have to be one way or the other. Internal IT resources can be great.
Mhm.
But yeah, for a lot of small businesses that don't have the budget, the resources to build out an entire IT department, we can be that resource for them
Yeah.
in that service. Yeah.
And you are Maine-based?
We are Maine-based. Yeah. So we've got an office in Bethel. That's our HQ. And then we have an office in Portland as well. But we work with clients throughout the country. Most are in Maine and New England, and then down the eastern seaboard.
Mhm.
But we're based in Maine because that's where our two co-founders grew up, spend a good portion of their lives. So would this be a good time to kind of go into our two co-founders, their
I would love to hear
story?
more about them. You've told me a little bit about them in the past, so they sound like amazing people. So tell me more.
Definitely, yeah. So we were co-founded 6 years ago by Brian and Melinda Gagnon. So both worked in big tech their whole lives, born and raised in rural Maine. Melinda, our CEO, is from Bethel. Brian, our chief technology officer, is from Rumford.
Yeah.
We're talking like rural Maine.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, they worked in some major positions for some of the largest tech companies in the world. So our CEO Melinda, really early at Google on their ad tech team out of their Cambridge office. Our CTO Brian was the first global architect at a little company called VMware, which you might be familiar with. That's like the company that basically built the cloud.
Really?
So during their time in big tech, they just saw such a need for IT and security support here in Maine and throughout just generally with small businesses.
Mhm.
Small businesses have a lot of the same problems that Fortune 500 companies do. You just don't have $1 billion to throw at the problem.
Yeah.
To create a whole IT department, to vet new software, to get that forward-looking plan in place. So we've built something special at Uprise, and it's really been cool to see just how much we've grown in the past 2.5, 3 years since I've been at the business. Adding awesome team members feels like weekly, and definitely headed in the right direction. But that vision from our two co-founders was traditionally like IT is so siloed out. You've got an IT provider, maybe you've got an internet provider, managed print vendor, phone vendor, other specialty software in the mix, maybe a development team for your applications, whatever. They're not always speaking to each other. So like bringing as much of that under one roof as possible so that we can best service those businesses and meet their needs is what we aim to do and what we built at Uprise. So
Can't believe it's only been 6 years because it does sound like it's such a well-established business. And having known you for a few years and the success you've had, can't believe it's only been 6. How long have you been at Uprise again?
I've been with Uprise for 2 years and some change. It's going on like 2.5 years at this point.
How'd you land with Uprise? Tell me a little bit about your journey to the point that you are now.
Yeah. So went to the University of Southern Maine and studied marketing and business administration. So got degrees in those. And then out of college, I wasn't like 100% sure what I wanted to do. I feel like so many people can resonate with that. It's like so many options. Got a business degree. My mom has been in sales her whole life. So just like listening to her at the dinner table growing up and talking about ways she was helping patients through medical device and pharma sales, things like that. It was really cool to hear and just the different strategies she's used. And that opened my eyes to sales and landed my first position with WB Mason. You might be familiar with the paper company.
Definitely.
And that just, I mean, what I learned from that was sales is like you get out what you put in. And I love being in a position that I determine my own future and my efforts, I'm able to reap the rewards of that. So really hit the ground running with that company and set myself apart between the rest of the pack and moved into some different positions. left my last role. I was an account executive and a sales trainer, and I was
Mhm.
in an industry where I didn't see myself long term.
Yeah.
Love my manager, love the company, but not something I was super excited to get up and
Yeah.
go develop new business every day doing. So knew I wanted to break into tech, had a bunch of interviews and some opportunities with different software companies and SaaS and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
saw a LinkedIn ad for this role at Uprise Partners. Went through a 4-round interview series with our leadership team at the time, and I was like, this is where I need to be. Just
Yeah.
after speaking with Brian, Melinda, our leadership team, they've really taken me in under their wing, and I feel like what I'm learning on a daily basis is just skyrocketed where I'm at in my
Mhm.
development, and
Yeah.
it's been an awesome experience. So
Why did you want to get into tech? Are you drawn to that sort of stuff, or did you see that as the future? And what?
it's like all around us. I
Mhm.
just feel like I can't get away from it, and I want to
Mhm.
be on the cutting edge of like I want to be in the know.
Yeah.
So we look at like AI, what's happening there, what we're doing. I mean, we all spend so many hours every week on our phones, on our computers, enabling businesses to get the most out of that and help
Hmm.
solve real business problems. That motivated me to take the position here. And it's super exciting. Like every day we're helping businesses
Yeah.
get the most out of their tech, stay secure, resilient, so that they can stay profitable and do what they do. So
Well, then let's talk about some of the specific services that you provide, because we've talked a little bit in general, but what is the relationship that you have with a small business most commonly look like?
yeah. So our core focus is IT managed services. So that's a soup to nuts solution for
Hmm.
small and medium sized businesses. We're handling 24/7, 365 user support through our
Hmm.
service desk, all of the security as the security operations center, the networking, the network, right, as the NOC, network operations center,
Hmm.
providing infrastructure management, all the things that they have, all the equipment, all the tech, make sure
So, can I
that's
ask you about that real
documented.
quick?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, do you basically mean if you work with a small business, like you're actually making sure that that office is outfitted with the type of network that they need, the computers they need, the printers they need, and make sure it's all talking together and secure in that sense?
That's exactly right. Yeah. So finding the right mix of technology for that unique business.
Mhm.
And that looks different for every type of business that we work with. Because we're working across so many industries, Randy. We've got law firms, we have defense contractors, we have healthcare, a lot of different needs across those industries. So making sure that what we're recommending is best for that unique client.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely something we're doing.
All right. So you're setting them up with the equipment, making sure their office is outfitted. Are you? What's the best way to, like, the only way I can equate it to is the way it works for us. Like every time we're doing a function of our business, it's through a Citrix type network, virtual desktop sort of thing. Are you guys setting those sort of things up for companies and managing that stuff?
But yeah, absolutely. So setting up remote access solutions,
Hmm.
making sure people have access to what they need, making sure it's secure, rolling
Hmm.
all of that out, and just presenting different options to our clients too. That's all stuff we're doing on a daily basis. Really just like going back to what we aim to do at Uprise Partners is take IT and security off the plate of our small business clients so that they can focus on what they do best. So you think
Yeah.
about just about anything IT related, we are the strategic advisors helping our
Hmm.
clients tackle those problems.
If I was a small business owner, I start my new business, is there any advice that you would have for me when it comes to the tech side of things?
Yeah, if I was a small business owner, what I would do first and foremost is get with the leadership team and get a plan in place. So, what do we have today?
Hmm.
What's helping and what's hurting us as a business? Do people have the technology they need? Are they being productive with the technology? Do we have a strong security posture? Do we feel confident in that?
Hmm.
Those are the types of questions I'd be asking. And then leveraging expert level resources, whether that's an IT consultant or a team of professionals like our
Hmm.
team at Uprise Partners, that would definitely be recommended. But we really focus on like breaking IT down into 4 essentials.
Hmm.
So happy to talk about those
I
and
would
how
love to
that
hear
might
it.
be
Yeah.
relevant.
Yeah, definitely.
So in order of priority, security, resiliency, user experience, and productivity.
Mhm.
Those are like the 4 big buckets that we focus on.
Yep.
And that's what I encourage small business owners to be thinking about. So first things first, security. That's like the foundation of everything we do. If things aren't secure, nothing else matters,
Yeah.
right? Something like it's 47% of cyber attacks happen on small businesses. It's the amount of times I've heard a small business owner tell me, Randy, that we're too small. We've got like 25 people. Who wants our stuff? They want you to want your stuff. That's the deal here.
Yeah,
um,
exactly. Because that is the idea, right? Someone takes your stuff and you need to get it back, and it's like, how are you going to do that, right? Is that like the main thing that happens in a lot of these situations, like a
with
ransom type
ransomware,
scenario? Yeah.
that's exactly it. Yeah, it's holding somebody's data hostage for a
Mhm.
payout. It's like, how long could you go if systems were shut down for a day, a week, if you didn't have access to any of your project files or critical business data? And that kind of moves into the second bucket, which would be
Mhm.
resiliency.
Yeah.
So how fast can you recover from an incident? And
Mhm.
it's not like an if, it's when. And I'm not trying to fearmonger here. That's
Mhm.
not what we do, but 100% secure doesn't exist. It's a fallacy. It's not real. So planning for the when, not if, but when something happens, and getting that disaster recovery plan in place. The
So is
instant
that
response.
just backing things up? Is resiliency just a different way of saying like making sure all the data that you have is backed up on a regular basis, daily basis, something like that?
That's if you really want to distill it down. Yeah,
Mhm.
just to make sure that continuity is there. You have things backed up. You can recover quickly from
Mhm.
an incident, right? It's like something like 60% of small businesses that are hit with a cyber attack go out of business within 6 months. Just like pretty crazy to hear, but just making sure things are resilient. The ship's
But
going to
that's
continue to go in the right direction. That's critical.
but like it sounds like there's probably two types of businesses. Ones that don't worry about their IT stuff in the sense that we're talking about, and then there's the ones that do, and they hire people like you at Uprise to manage their IT for them. I would imagine that the ones that hire companies like Uprise bounce back a lot quicker and are more likely to stay in business than the ones that don't. So when we say that 6 months number, is that probably for companies that have no real solutions in place?
That have no real solutions or
Yeah.
limited solutions. You think about like an IT freelancer, that works in some business situations. If you're really small, you have limited resources and budget, but people take breaks, people go on vacation, people get
Mm-hmm.
sick, people retire.
Mm-hmm.
Like how much is living in your IT guru's head that's not documented? If they went away tomorrow, like what happens then, right? And when you position it like that, sometimes with a small business owner, they're like, well, Joe's been our guy for the last 20 years. He knows this business. We're buddies. We're good.
Mm-hmm.
Joe's got our back. I'm sure Joe's super solid. I'm not knocking Joe at all.
Yeah.
But having a team of experts with a deep bench, right? That's typically going to make you much more resilient than leveraging
Totally.
an individual internally or externally.
When you say Joe, like that, Joe has so much institutional knowledge, and when they move on, and this honestly isn't even just in IT, this is in every business. Like I see it in the school department I'm involved in. We're losing a finance manager that's been there for 20 years. She has so much institutional knowledge, like she almost can't be replaced.
Yeah.
So when we get back to IT, like having a team and spreading that knowledge and just making sure you have continuity is, just, I mean, it's priceless. But that is hard to convince people of because Joe's been there for 20 years and you trust Joe and there's loyalty. Is that a hard thing to overcome on your end, or it just makes sense sometimes?
It's just a business conversation that needs to be had. And people have their own risk tolerance. Some people don't want to spend anything on IT.
Mhm.
They embrace the nothing's happened yet, so why would we be spending on it type of approach, which
Yeah.
that's fine, but something's going to happen eventually.
Mhm.
So it's really just about educating client or potential clients on the different options that are out there. We're not the best solution for every business out there by
Yeah.
any stretch, but there is benefit to working with a team versus an individual, whether that's internal or external. So
Yeah. Let's keep going with the four pillars. What? Tell me about the user experience one.
yeah, so you think about as you're using your technology day to day, Randy,
Mhm.
you need to be educated and experienced on what you use,
Mhm.
and you need to have access to it. So if security, resiliency, and productivity are all happening, I mean that should be happening in the background. With user experience should be seamless. That should be
Mhm.
great. And then moving into the fourth bucket would be productivity.
Mhm.
So are people effectively using the technologies that you're paying for. Something like the average business or the average worker loses 22 minutes a day due to productivity, right? So if you like extrapolate that out over a week, you're losing 2 hours times however many employees
Yeah.
you have. It's like pretty costly. So
Uh-huh.
if through integrations or
Is it through software not functioning the right way? It's not like we're not talking about people using their phones type stuff in the background and just browsing the internet or something. It's like software that you have in place just actually not functioning the way it's supposed to, and that's creating lost time.
exactly, yeah. So that's
Yeah.
a different type of productivity we could
Yeah,
have
it's
a
a tough.
whole nother conversation about. But like, yeah, so are things integrated like they need to be?
Hmm.
Do you know where files live, right?
Hmm.
Do we have to check 3 different places to figure out where something exists? What's the source of truth? Those types of
Hmm.
things. So those four kind of big buckets is what, if I was a small business leader, what I'd want to be focusing my thought on with my
Yeah.
leadership team.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What are some of the bigger horror stories that you've heard in your time in the business? I mean, have you heard of business owners losing their business and having to shut down because of a cyber attack? Or tell me something. Give me a story.
I'll make it juicy for you, Randy. All right. Yeah, I mean, we're obviously client confidentiality
Yeah, of
super
course.
crucial for us, but just some examples. Like, there's been a lot of businesses that have come to us after a ransomware attack.
Hmm.
Fortunately, we haven't had any clients get ransomware while we were supporting them, but one comes to mind. They had come to us after a really significant and severe ransomware attack. They lost 25 years of their data.
Hmm.
25 years. So if they're doing 10 million a year in revenue, you can take like 5 to 10% of that revenue. That's what their data's worth,
Hmm.
right? Extrapolate that over 20 years. It's a scary thing. So them having to go back on site to get measurements or whatever, if a customer requests a repeat project, they
Yeah.
don't have any of that stuff. It just crippled the business for, there were like 2 weeks where nobody could do anything. Like systems were shut down. So 2 weeks of downtime plus 25 years of data loss equates to not a fun time,
Yeah.
right? So just being proactive about thinking about those things, super, super crucial. And it's so much less expensive to be thinking about it and putting solutions in place that
Yeah.
prevent it up
Yeah.
front versus reactively. So
You can't put a price on what they were willing to spend afterwards to not have this happen. You know, like they would have paid anything. They put millions of dollars to ensure that what happened didn't happen to them. But it sounds like this company maybe didn't have a solid IT solution beforehand, and maybe now you're working with them since then.
yeah, so we they came to us in really rough shape, right? They
Mhm.
like systems were down. So we were able to right the ship, get things to a better place, remediate all the security issues, and things are just working great now. So
Mhm.
we've been partnered with them for many years, and
Okay.
yeah, they've been a fantastic client. So
But that's a story of someone that could have used your services before all that stuff happened. If that happens, like I don't understand fully how ransomware works, but like my thought is like if you have the proper IT solutions in place, someone gets your data, you just roll it back to the last time it was backed up, and then you just kind of keep going. Is
y-
that basically it?
to distill it down, yeah. So it's about, I mean, like having 24/7 eyes on the environment,
Hmm.
right, and proactively monitoring things. So looking at logs to see if there are anomalies that we should be taking a harder look at
Hmm.
from security incidents, stuff like that, and just doing it proactively. Super, super critical. Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a bummer to hear for that company. Hopefully they're able to. I mean, it sounds like you're working with them still. So, but like I could see how that could potentially lead to a business having to shut down if you have all that data taken and is that much lost money. It's just yeah, it could be crippling for someone that's not well positioned.
And then you think about like vendor relationships, customer relationships, the PR behind that as
Mhm.
well. There's like a lot that goes into it. So getting those plans in place, which is something we help our clients do
Mhm.
proactively, building out that incident response plan, the disaster recovery plan. That's super crucial to be doing up front
Mhm.
versus reactively to prevent situations just like that. But things like providing the endpoint protection or antivirus software for all of our clients, doing the
Yep.
proactive monitoring, security awareness training like simulated phishing attempts.
Mhm.
So we're hitting on the
Funny,
social engineering piece.
I get those emails at work, just like ridiculous subject lines and trying to test us to see if we're gonna bite. I probably have a couple times, who knows? But so you help devise some of those plans?
Yeah, we actually roll out simulated phishing attempts for our clients. It's not meant to put people in like the penalty box per se, but we just want to make sure people are thinking about it because it's getting super sophisticated, the different attack methods out there.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've heard of like smishing,
No.
but it's SMS phishing. So it's text phishing, where there's potentially a link embedded. You click that link from your cell phone, not good.
Yeah,
So they're
good.
getting they're getting really sophisticated, and with AI in the mix now, like imagine your grandma getting a call to share a social security number or
Yeah,
financial information, and it's your voice, right?
dude.
All
I
it takes
know.
is 3 seconds now of your voice, and that's all they need.
We're
That's all
not
AI needs.
we're not talking cybersecurity at this point, but like similar type scammy type stuff. My uncle got a call from a scammer or whatever, and tried to make it sound like it was his daughter crying, asking for help, and he was on his way to the freaking bank to like get money to give to these people or give to her for whatever she needed it. And it wasn't until somehow he got a hold of her a different way before he realized that he was being scammed. But yeah, man, you have to have your guard up all the time, whether it's online stuff or just in life, man. People are definitely trying to do some weird stuff to other people, older people, and it's a weird thing.
I mean, it's happening to business, just to relate it back to like business and cybersecurity though. Like if I had a nickel for every time I've heard like a CFO tell me, yeah, I got an email from our president's or CEO's compromised email account requesting funds get transferred to a specific bank account, but the language was off or the way they wrote the email, something smelled weird, you know what I mean? It just seemed off, so I didn't send it or I did send it and we lost X amount of money. It happens all the time. And it's like it could happen to the best of us. They're getting super sophisticated. It's not to put blame on anybody that has clicked that bad link or sent that wire transfer, but just something to be educated on, which is why we really focus on the social engineering piece of security and just keeping security top of mind. Like every time you're opening an email, what does that top line look like? Can you validate it's coming from who you think it's coming from?
Yeah, make sure the email address is like an actual email address from the place that you would expect it, not some knockoff website.
Whatever at gmail.com. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
definitely.
50
But I mean,
numbers
you can
beforehand.
definitely change your name on any email to make it look like it's coming from anyone. It's not until you actually look at the email address that you can really see what's going on. In our industry, one thing that I've seen happen is people commonly wire money as a down payment to buy a home. And oftentimes the title company will send that information to the buyer. They'll use those wire instructions to wire money, but like you have to be very careful before you do that as a buyer. Like I always encourage people to call the people on the phone, confirm that they did in fact send you the wire instructions, confirm them verbally before you send it out, because there have been times where hackers or scammers have mimicked a title company's email and got a buyer to send funds to them, and then that money's gone. Like you can't recover that once it's been wired. So yeah, I think education, like you said, is very crucial.
Definitely is. Yeah. Don't want to
So
ignore it. And then just like to
okay,
kind of
good.
hit on one thing though, like we can't live in a technology prison. Like you can make things really close to 100% secure, but you're going to be handcuffed in what you do day to day. So it's about like finding the right mix of security for each business, which is it looks different. We need to be able to do our jobs. We can't we can't be 100% locked into a technology prison.
That's a good reminder. Who is a good referral for you? What are you looking for to grow your business?
Yeah, our ideal customer profile would be 10 to 500 employees. We do the most in like the 10 to 100 user
Mm-hmm.
count range, but professional services, manufacturing, energy, those are all great industries for us. We're pretty industry agnostic, so we work across a lot of different verticals, but small businesses that recognize they don't know what they don't know, they want a stronger security posture, want IT to work better for them, want to maximize for the things they're already paying for technology. If you hear complaints around my email's not working well or my computer is always doing this thing in the morning, that's usually a good indication that we might be able to help. And then also like businesses that fall under regulatory compliance, right? So financial institutions, healthcare, defense contractors, things like that. That can be a great fit for us as well. But I'd say like small businesses that have between 10 and 500 employees, typically doing over 2 to 3 million a year in
Yep.
revenue for it to make sense. And they can be anywhere based in the US. So,
And this brings me to the last thing I want to talk to you about. You recently moved down to Florida
yes,
to
sir.
be boots on the ground for Uprise, grow the business in Florida. How's the move been?
It's been a whirlwind, Randy. It's been a lot.
Has it been
It
yeah, month and change
We closed on Friday the 13th in October.
in
Actually,
October?
I don't,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know what that sign means. We ended up driving down here in November, about a month later.
Yeah.
Went straight shot, 27 hours, made it, no problems. So it's been awesome. I'm loving it down here so far.
Yep.
Still getting the house together, but thanks to your help as my lender,
Yeah.
landed a great spot. I couldn't be happier with the house. So
Yeah, I'm happy for you, man. I love seeing some of the stuff that you post on Instagram once in a while, kind of following your journey down there. Definitely jealous of you being down there in the warm weather right now. I mean, speaking of Bethel, I mean, I don't know if you've heard what's going on up there right now, but it's a freaking mess, you know. So it must be nice to be in that Florida weather right now. Have you been able to explore a little bit?
yeah, definitely feeling for the team in Bethel right now. But yeah, we ventured a little bit. My girlfriend, my partner, didn't want to leave the house until we had all the basics in place, so
Yeah.
we could really enjoy things like that. But we've hit a few of the beaches. We're going to be going to Burns Steakhouse sometime soon.
Is
Um,
that like a notable steakhouse in the area?
it's like the steakhouse in this
Is it?
area.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They've got the dessert room is the second floor. You
Yeah.
can make separate reservations to go eat at Burns upstairs, but it's like, yeah. So we've been loving it so far. The
Mhm.
dogs have a backyard that's fenced in for the
Yeah.
first time, so
Yeah.
it's been
That's
great.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. Is the pool working?
Pool's working, hot tub's working. Become like a pool maintenance guru. Every morning you should see me. I'm doing my testing
Yeah.
and
Is it
yeah,
regular water or salt water? I don't even know if salt water is a thing down in Florida, but I know more and more around here. How is it for you?
it's just regular chlorine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's regular water, fresh water. Yeah.
Hey, best thing I've ever purchased. I don't, and I know that sounds hyperbolic, but was a vacuum that's automatic. I don't know if you have this or are you
I do.
vacuuming yourself? Yeah.
We've got a
Here,
robot in there doing
here.
its thing. Yeah.
Freaking game changer. A lot of times I buy things or we buy things and they don't quite work the way you think they are. There's issues, you got to troubleshoot. Like, dude, that thing took it out of the box, set it up, and it just works, man. And it cleans everything up. So, anyways, you're a pool guy now. And I know that feeling. So good for
Definitely
you.
a pool guy now. Yeah. But I mean, thank you, Randy, for all your efforts to get that house. I mean, just testimonial to you and your team. The listing agent told my agent that the
Mhm.
reason they took my offer and accepted it was the confidence you instilled in the listing agent. So I think that just speaks to your experience, the
Mhm.
way you communicate with clients and everybody involved in the buying process. It just made the whole thing super seamless. I feel like I'm your biggest advocate, man.
Appreciate
I'm
it, dude.
telling everybody, but yeah, I'm just really thankful for all the help you shared and provided.
It means a lot, dude. You know, it's hard to instill that confidence sometimes when you as the buyer is telling your agent and the listing agent, yeah, my lender's up in Maine. You know, so it's like one to really make sure that it was really clear on the communication. You know, reiterate how solid you were as a buyer, and you ended up with your buyer's agent was great. The listing agent ended up being great too, and it was a good team all around. So I'm glad it worked out for you, man. It's not an easy time to buy, but you made it happen. So happy for you. A lot of good stuff to look forward to.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'm still cutting my teeth in the real estate game, but like working with yourself, Josh, over at Remax Realty One, my
Yeah.
first home purchase. Like, I would just any home curious folks listening to this, speak with experienced
Mhm.
professionals, not your friend that just started
Mhm.
real estate or just started
Mhm.
doing some lending. Talk with Randy and folks like that. So
I
it'll make
appreciate that, dude.
everything so much better. Yeah,
Hey, I don't know if you've been following interest rates at all, have you?
a little bit. Yeah,
They've been coming
yeah.
down. There will be an opportunity to refinance for people like you, people that bought in this 12 to 18-month window that we're kind of coming out of. There will be opportunities for people to refinance. Rates actually dropped. I was telling someone earlier today the quickest they have in 45 days ever, like the sharpest decline over a 45-day period. So rates are coming down. And now I'm at the point where you're trying to set expectations with people because you don't want to just jump on refinancing like right this second just because rates have come down. If you think that they're going to continue to come down, which I think they do, because it's like you don't want to refinance, you know, 3 times just to save a 0.25% each time. You want to, I would think you want to make sure you're doing it when it makes sense enough. So anyways, I'll continue to monitor that for you and anyone else that's in that same situation. But it's nice to be hopefully on the other side of this environment we've been in where rates are freaking so high to start seeing them go down. It's fun again.
Definitely painful looking at where rates were. I mean, locking in where I did and where rates were at for everybody. But I don't think it's ever like a bad time to be in real estate. It's all, it just needs to make sense for your specific situation. And I think with rates going down, prices are probably going to balloon up a little bit, right? That's going to keep pricing firm or have that increase as more buyers enter the market. Fortunately,
as rates go down, people get off the fence, you know, and more competition. It's just a simple economic supply and demand thing. So more demand means higher prices. So I don't know that I see prices dropping for whatever reason. I know a lot of people think like, oh, hey, prices have to drop because they've just gone up so high and everything that goes up must come down. I don't know about that when it comes to real estate prices, at least right now in the end of 2023, heading into 2024, there's still a lot of demand. Lower rates is only going to increase that. So
absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
But listen, dude, I know you got to go, and I appreciate you taking the time talking about your business. You're obviously great at what you do. So much knowledge there, and if there's any way that I can get people in touch with you to grow your business and Uprise Partners business, I'd be happy to. So thanks again.
Thanks for having me on the pod, Randy. Always enjoy speaking with you. And yeah, if there are any small business owners, leaders, anybody listening to this that are just interested in what options exist for key support, security, looking to make things a little bit easier for the team, would be happy to have that intro call. So
yeah. And I'll be sure to share all your contact info too. So thanks again, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Randy. All right. Take it easy.